Hello, I'm Dr. Gonzalez, and today in this video we're going to talk about the following topics.
The digestive system has several structures or organs, starting with the gastro-intestinal tract, also for short GI tract. It has several organs, including the oral cavity, the pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine. If you look at the small intestine, it has three parts. Main part is going to be the duodenum, then the jejunum, and the third part is the ileum. And then in the large intestine, we also have several divisions, starting at the cecum, then the ascending, transverse, and descending colon, and ending with the sigmoid, colon, rectum, and anus. Also, the digestive system has accessory organs that aid into the digestion of breaking food. So for example, there is the salivary glands, which produce saliva, and they are located on the oral cavity, as well as the teeth to grind and chew the food. Then there's also the liver, which produces bile or emulsification of the fats, and the gallbladder, which is there to store that bile that is produced by the liver. And last but not least, there's the pancreas, which produces different enzymes and hormones, but mainly it produces, for example, insulin for blood sugar, and it also produces other enzymes to digest several nutrients. So let's take a look at the different organs that we just mentioned, and then we're going to talk about the functions of the digestive system. So in the digestive system, as we said, we start with the GI tract. The GI tract starts here at the oral cavity, and it continues through the pharynx, which is over this area right here. It's the throat, basically. Particularly, we need to mention the oropharynx. That's the area we're referring to. Oropharynx. Then we go into the esophagus. That's the second part. Notice how the esophagus passes through the thorax, particularly the posterior portion or posterior wall of the thorax. It descends into the abdominal cavity, where in the abdominal cavity it communicates with the stomach. So the stomach there works as a station where you will accumulate food, and then you continue digesting throughout the day. So from the stomach, then we go into the small intestine. The first part, remember, was the duodenum. Then the second part of the small intestine is the jejunum. And then the third part of the small intestine is the ileum. From the ileum, then we go into the large intestine, starting over here at the cecum. Then notice how the cecum also has an appendix attached in there. Is this very small structure right here. And then from the cecum, whatever we have left, it continues. We call it the chyme. That chyme continues to ascend, right? So through that ascending colon, then it goes through the transverse colon, and then it descends one more time through the descending colon. Then it goes into the sigmoid colon, and then into the rectum and anus. So that would be the entire pathway of whatever we are eating or drinking. and we call it originally the bolus, which is that mixture of food into the mouth. Once it reaches the stomach, then we call it the chyme or chyme. And that continues to go through the stomach, then through the duodenum, jejunum, and then ileum, and like I said, the large intestine. The other accessory organs that we mentioned were the salivary glands over here in the oral cavity, producing saliva. We also mentioned the teeth, which are also located in the oral cavity. And then in the abdominal cavity, there's the liver. There's also the gallbladder and the pancreas. In terms of functions of the digestive system, in total we have 8 functions. So the first one is ingestion, and ingestion means to bring the food and liquids into the mouth. Then there is the mechanical processing, which is essentially chewing and swallowing. Then there's the digestion. Digestion is essentially the chemical breakdown of food into nutrient form. Chemical breakdown. Then there's the secretion, and secretion is essentially secreting those products by the lining of the digestive tract, and also secretion of products by the accessory organs of digestion. In terms of absorption, this is basically the movement of nutrients from the small intestine into the bloodstream. So from the intestine to the bloodstream. Excretion is essentially the removal of waste products from the digestive tract. So removal of waste. Compaction is the progressive dehydration of organic waste, and that happens mostly in the colon. And last but not least, the defecation, which is the elimination of feces from the body. Last but not least, on this video, I want to add that your digestive system has these muscular layers of smooth muscle for the movement of digestive materials. One of those is called peristalsis, which is basically how the muscular layers propels the bolus. Remember that bolus I mentioned at the very beginning, through the digestive tract in a series of peristaltic waves, which means relaxations and contractions that pushes the mass of food throughout the digestive tract. So that's the first one. And then the second one is segmentation, which is basically how the material is shorn and fragmented, and at the same time is propelled through the digestive tract by peristaltic contractions. In total, these movements are controlled by something called the mesenteric reflexes of the enteric nervous system. Enteric nervous system, or ENS, which is the gut's brain.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And if you have any comments or suggestions, you can leave them on the comment section below. And last but not least, don't forget to check out my Etsy store, Queen Mary Anatomy. That's it. I'll see you next time.